The morning started like any other day on Earth. People went about their usual routines, going to work, children heading to school, and life continuing as it always had. But at exactly 9 o'clock a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, everything changed. Every screen on the planet flickered simultaneously. Phones, computers, televisions, and even digital billboards in Times Square went dark for a moment before displaying the same message. The image that appeared showed a grand chamber filled with beings that were clearly not human. They sat in tiered seats, looking down at the camera with what could only be described as contempt. A tall figure with metallic blue skin and 6 eyes stood at the central podium. People of Earth, it spoke in perfect English. Its voice translated seamlessly across all languages worldwide. I am High Speaker Robert of the Galactic Council. We have observed your civilization for the past 100 years, and we have reached a decision regarding your species. In the Pentagon's main control room, General Mike Thompson watched with growing tension. His weathered face, marked by 30 years of military service, remained steady even as his hands gripped the edge of his command console. Around him, military personnel scrambled to verify if this was a global hack or something more sinister. Your species, the High Speaker continued, has been deemed too aggressive and unpredictable to join the galactic community. Your wars, your violence, your constant drive for dominance. These make you unfit for advanced space travel or integration with civilized species. In London, Dr. Lisa Brown, one of Earth's leading xenobiologists, felt her heart sink. She had spent her entire career preparing humanity for potential alien contact. This was not how she had imagined it would go. The High Speaker's next words sent chills through everyone listening. Therefore, the Council has decided on a quarantine protocol. You will be stripped of all technology beyond a pre-industrial level. Your planet will be monitored for the next 1,000 years until you prove yourselves worthy of reconsideration. Around the world, panic began to spread. In Tokyo, crowds gathered in the streets, their eyes fixed on the massive screens above. In Rio de Janeiro, people held their loved ones close, fear evident in their expressions. But in key military installations across the globe, something else was happening. A quiet, determined preparation that had been waiting for this very moment. You have 48 hours to comply, the High Speaker announced. Resistance will result in immediate consequences. This is not a negotiation. The message ended, but the screens remained frozen on the image of the council chamber. For several minutes, the world seemed to hold its breath. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral James Stone received an urgent message. The President wanted to activate Protocol Omega, a contingency plan that had been in development since the first hints of alien observation were detected decades ago. Sir, his aide, Tom Wilson, spoke up. Should we begin the evacuation of major cities? Stone looked at the young man, his expression grim but determined. No, Tom. We're not going to run. We're going to fight back. In the hours that followed, Earth's hidden defense network hummed to life. In underground bases across every continent, machines that had never seen the light of day began powering up. Weapons that defied conventional physics were prepared for deployment. The Council thought they were dealing with a primitive, violent species that would either submit or fight foolishly. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this possibility for generations. As the first day of the ultimatum drew to a close, Admiral Stone stood in the command center, watching as green lights appeared on his global display, indicating readiness from facilities worldwide. He allowed himself a small smile. The Council had made a critical mistake. They had threatened humanity's freedom, and history had shown time and time again what happened to those who tried to chain the human spirit. The next 48 hours would change the galaxy forever, and humanity was ready to show the Council just how uncivilized they could be. As the second day of the Council's ultimatum began, the true scale of humanity's preparations became clear. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, a massive door slid open for the first time in 15 years. The facility inside hummed with power as rows of advanced fighters came to life. their quantum engines pulsing with barely contained energy. Dr. Peter Wells, chief engineer of Project Prometheus, walked through the underground hangar. His footsteps echoed across the metal floor as he inspected each vessel. These weren't ordinary spacecraft. They were humanity's secret weapons, built using technology that supposedly shouldn't exist for another century. Status report, he called out to his team. Mary Cooper, his head technician, looked up from her tablet. All 40 ships are combat-ready, sir. The quantum shields are functioning at full capacity, and the phase shift drives are stable. Similar scenes played out in hidden bases across the planet. In the depths of the Mariana Trench, an underwater facility housed submarines that could slip between dimensions. Beneath the Sahara Desert, vast fields of experimental energy weapons pointed skyward, disguised as sand dunes. Admiral Stone's voice crackled over the Global Defense Network. All facility commanders, report in. One by one, the responses came. Atlantis Base, ready. Phoenix Station, armed and operational. Dragon Nest, all systems go. Thunderpoint, awaiting orders. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Tom Wilson handed Stone a report. Sir, our satellites have detected Council ships entering the solar system. They're maintaining position beyond Mars orbit. Stone nodded, his face illuminated by the blue glow of tactical displays. They're trying to intimidate us with their presence. Little do they know. The Admiral pressed a button, activating the worldwide communication system. This is Stone to all commands. Begin Operation Rising Phoenix. Across Earth, hidden technologies activated. Quantum shields flickered to life around major cities, invisible to normal detection methods. Orbital platforms that had masqueraded as space junk for decades transformed, revealing advanced weapon systems. In her laboratory in Geneva, Dr. Lisa Brown worked frantically with her team, analyzing the Council's transmission. Their technology has a weakness, she announced, pointing to her findings. Their shields operate on a predictable frequency pattern, if we time our attacks right. The Council ships noticed nothing unusual as Earth approached the 24-hour mark of their ultimatum. Their scans showed only what humans wanted them to see, a planet in chaos, with populations panicking and governments in disarray. But in reality, humanity was executing a plan decades in the making. Underground factories that had been running in secret for years had produced enough advanced weaponry to wage a war across the galaxy. The Council thought Earth had only primitive rockets and basic space stations. They had no idea about the quantum technology, the dimensional drives, or the artificial intelligence systems that humans had developed in absolute secrecy. Sir, Tom reported, checking the latest updates, all defensive systems are in place. The Ghost Fleet is ready for deployment. Stone stood at the command center's main window, looking out at the mountain range that had hidden their base for so long. Send word to all commands. This is not a defensive operation. When we strike to win. In orbital stations disguised as communication satellites, Special Forces teams prepared for combat. Their powered armor suits, reverse-engineered from crashed alien tech, would allow them to fight in space as easily as on land. As the first day of the ultimatum ended, humanity was ready. Years of paranoia and preparation were about to pay off. The Council thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would either submit or die. Instead, they were about to face the full force of human ingenuity and determination. Stone looked at the countdown timer on his screen. Less than 24 hours remained until the Council's deadline. He smiled slightly. Let them come, he muttered. We're ready. Around the world, humanity's hidden arsenal waited in the shadows, ready to show the galaxy that threatening Earth had been the Council's biggest mistake. With just 6 hours remaining until the Council's deadline, Earth launched its counterattack. The first sign that something was wrong came from the Council's forward observation post near Jupiter. The alien station simply disappeared from their sensors, leaving no trace of its existence. Commander Emma West sat in the captain's chair of the Ghost Fleet's lead ship, Thunderchild. Her vessel, along with 5 others, had just executed their first perfect phase shift attack. The Council's station hadn't even had time to send a distress signal. "Target eliminated," reported Jack Miller, her weapons officer. "No survivors, no debris, no signals sent. Clean operation, Commander." Emma allowed herself a small smile. "Send word to command. Phase 1 complete." The Council ships orbiting Mars noticed nothing unusual. Their sensors, designed to detect normal space travel, were blind to Earth's phase-shifted vessels. They continued their patrol, unaware that humanity's fleet was about to change the rules of warfare. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Admiral Stone watched as green lights flickered across his tactical display. Each light represented a successful strike against Council observation posts scattered throughout the solar system. The aliens had seeded the entire system with monitoring stations, but they were falling silent one by one. "Sir," Tom Wilson called out, "the Council's main fleet is moving. They've detected something's wrong." Stone nodded calmly. "Right on schedule. Signal all commands. Begin Phase 2. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet sprang into action. Ships emerged from dimensional pockets, appearing instantly behind Council vessels. The alien ships, with their shields oriented forward, never saw the attacks coming. On the Council's command ship, High Commander Bluescale watched in horror as his screening vessels disappeared from his tactical display. "Impossible," he roared, his 6 eyes blinking rapidly. "They're primitives. They shouldn't have this technology." Emma's voice crackled across all frequencies, broadcasting in perfect Council standard language. "This is Commander West of the Earth Defense Force. Your observation posts have been eliminated. Your screening fleet is disabled. You have one chance to retreat." In the Geneva laboratory, Dr. Lisa Brown and her team monitored the quantum frequencies. "The Council ships are trying to call for reinforcements," she reported to command. "But our dimensional disruption field is holding. They're trapped here with us." The Council fleet, still believing in their technological superiority, launched a counterattack. Their energy weapons, powerful enough to crack a planet's crust, lashed out at Earth's vessels. But humanity had prepared for this too. The quantum shields absorbed the attacks, converting the energy into power for their own weapons. Emma watched as the Council ship's most powerful weapons proved useless against Earth's defenses. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta," Emma commanded. "Show them what we've learned in the last 50 years." The Ghost Fleet moved in perfect coordination. Quantum torpedoes phased through the Council's shields as if they weren't there. Dimensional cutters sliced through hull plating that was supposed to be impenetrable. Within minutes, half the Council fleet was either destroyed or disabled. High Commander Bluescale faced a decision he never thought possible. His mighty fleet, capable of subjugating entire star systems, was being systematically taken apart by a species he had dismissed as primitive. "This is impossible," he muttered, watching another of his ships explode. "We monitored them. They had nothing like this." In the Rocky Mountain base, Admiral Stone allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. "Send the message," he ordered. All across the solar system, Council ships received the same transmission. "Your monitoring failed. Your intelligence was wrong. Your arrogance blinded you. This is humanity's official response to your ultimatum. We will not be contained. We will not be controlled. The choice is yours. Retreat now, or face complete destruction." The battle wasn't over, but the first strike had achieved its purpose. Humanity had shown the galaxy that they weren't just worthy of joining the galactic community, they were capable of bringing it to its knees. Emma sat back in her command chair, watching as more Council ships either retreated or fell to her fleet's weapons. "Command," she reported, "Phase 2 complete. Awaiting further orders." The Council's mighty armada was in ruins, and Earth's message was clear. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. The Grand Council chamber erupted into chaos. The massive circular room, usually a place of order and dignity, now echoed with shouts and accusations. Representatives from 100 alien civilizations, demanded answers as reports of Earth's devastating counterattack flooded in. High Speaker Robert stood at his podium, his blue skin now pale with shock. "Impossible," he thundered, trying to restore order. "Our intelligence confirmed they were decades away from basic space travel. How could they have quantum technology?" On the main display screen, another Council warship vanished in a flash of light. The human vessels seemed to appear from nowhere, strike with impossible precision, and disappear again. Centuries of Council military supremacy were crumbling in mere hours. Elder Marcus, the oldest member of the Council, watched from his elevated seat with growing concern. His species had survived for 10,000 years by recognizing patterns, and he saw one now. They had made a terrible mistake in underestimating these humans. "Our monitoring stations," reported Military Commander John, his reptilian scales bristling with agitation. "All gone. Every single one we placed in their solar system. Not damage, they've simply ceased to exist." The Council members looked at each other in growing fear. Their technology was supposed to be untouchable, their military might unquestionable. Yet these primitive humans had not only developed advanced technology in secret, but had found ways to surpass Council capabilities. In a secure chamber below the main hall, the Council's emergency committee gathered. The room was smaller, with just 12 seats around a floating holographic table. Here, the true leaders of galactic civilization faced the reality of their situation. "Show me the battle footage again," ordered Defense Minister Paul, his 4 eyes narrowed in concentration. The hologram displayed Earth's ships phasing through Council shields as if they weren't there. "Their technology," muttered Science Director Mark, his tentacles twitching nervously. "It's not just advanced, it's different. They didn't follow our development path. They created something entirely new." A junior analyst rushed into the room, clutching a datapad. "Ministers, we've detected energy signatures from Earth's surface. They're not just defending, they have weapons pointed at every major Council world." The revelation hit like a physical blow. Humanity hadn't just prepared for defense, they had somehow mapped Council space and prepared for a full-scale war. The quarantine ultimatum hadn't frightened them. It had simply given them an excuse to reveal their true power. Back in the main chamber, High Speaker Robert received the emergency report. His hands trembled as he read it. Their scans now showed human technology signatures dating back decades, hidden beneath mountains, oceans, and deserts. Earth hadn't developed this technology overnight. They had been building and preparing all along. "We need to call for peace talks," suggested Elder Marcus, his voice carrying wisdom earned through millennia. "Before this gets worse." But it was already too late for simple negotiations. Reports flooded in from across Council space. Human ships had been detected near crucial supply lines and military installations. They had been there for years, waiting and watching, just as the Council had watched Earth. "How did we not see this coming?" demanded one of the younger Council members. "How did they hide all of this?" Elder Marcus stood slowly, his ancient voice cutting through the panic. "We saw what we expected to see, a young, primitive race. We were so convinced of our superiority that we failed to consider they might be playing a longer game." The Council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. They had intended to quarantine Earth, to contain what they saw as a dangerous species. Instead, they had provoked a response that threatened the very foundations of Council power. High Speaker Robert looked at the latest battle reports, then at his fellow Council members. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Council faced an enemy they hadn't prepared for, one that had spent decades preparing for them. The question now wasn't how to punish Earth, but how to survive its retaliation. Dr. Alan Reed stood in his underground laboratory, surrounded by screens showing data from across the galaxy. The moment he had waited for during 20 years of secret work had finally arrived. On his main display, thousands of tiny dots blinked green, showing the status of devices that humanity had carefully hidden throughout Council space. "All dimensional anchors are online," reported his assistant, Bill Taylor. "Ready to activate on your command." Alan smiled, remembering how simple it had been to plant these devices. The Council had been so confident in their superiority that they never questioned the primitive human trading ships that visited their worlds. Those simple merchant vessels had carried more than just Earth goods. They had been secretly seeding Council space with the most advanced technology humanity had ever created. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Admiral Stone received the update. "Dr. Reed, are you absolutely certain this will work?" "The math is solid, Admiral," Ellen replied through the secure channel. "The Council bases all their technology on traditional physics. Our dimensional anchors will rewrite the rules they rely on. Their ships won't just be stopped. They'll be working in an entirely different reality." Stone nodded to his communication officer. "Send the word to all our forces. Operation Reality Break begins now." Across Council space, the hidden devices activated simultaneously. Each one was smaller than a coffee cup, but together they created a network that would change the nature of space itself within their influence. The effects were immediate and devastating. On the Council's capital world, their mighty defense screens flickered and died. Their quantum communications network went silent. Their gravity manipulation systems failed, leaving their floating cities suddenly dependent on emergency backup systems. "Report," High Speaker Robert demanded, watching as system after system failed across Council space. Military Commander John's voice was filled with disbelief. "Sir, it's like the laws of physics themselves have changed. Our technology is working with only 10% efficiency. Some systems aren't working at all." In the Geneva Research Facility, Dr. Lisa Brown monitored the effects. "The dimensional anchor network is performing perfectly," she reported to command. "The Council's technology is being forced to operate under our new rules." The true genius of humanity's plan became clear. They hadn't just developed better weapons or stronger shields. They had changed the very nature of how technology worked in Council space. While Council devices failed, Earth's technology, designed to work under these new conditions, operated at full capacity. Commander Emma West, leading her fleet deep in Council territory, watched as the mighty alien warships drifted helplessly. Their weapons were useless, their engines barely functioning. "This is almost too easy," she muttered, as her ships moved unopposed through their defense lines. Back in his laboratory, Alan monitored the cascade of effects. "Phase 1 of Reality Break is complete," he reported. "The Council's military capability has been reduced to approximately 12% of normal. Their civilian infrastructure is operating at 20%. Admiral Stone looked at the strategic display, now showing Council worlds lit up in red, indicating their technological shutdown. "Send the message," he ordered. Across Council space, every working communication device received the same transmission. "Your technology now operates under our rules. Your military is powerless. Your defenses are gone. Earth is not asking for recognition anymore. We are demanding it." In the Council chamber, the reality of their situation sank in. They had threatened to quarantine Earth, to strip humans of their technology. Instead, humanity had turned the tables in the most dramatic way possible. "How long?" High Speaker Robert asked, his voice barely a whisper. "How long have they been planning this?" Elder Marcus looked at the reports of failing systems across their worlds. "They've been playing a game we didn't even know existed," he replied. "While we watched them, thinking them primitive, they were learning our weaknesses and preparing this trap." In the Rocky Mountain base, Admiral Stone allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Council had threatened to contain humanity. Instead, they had discovered that humanity had contained them all along. The galaxy would never be the same, and Earth was now the one making the rules. The Council's Grand Chamber looked very different now. Gone was the arrogant superiority that had marked their ultimatum to Earth just days ago. Instead, the alien representatives sat in uncomfortable silence as Earth's delegation walked confidently into the room. Ambassador Diana North led the human group, her gray suit and steady stride showing none of the fear that the Council had expected from primitive humans. Behind her walked Admiral Stone, Dr. Alan Reed, and Commander Emma West, the architects of Earth's stunning victory. "Welcome," High Speaker Roberts said, his voice lacking its former authority. "The Council recognizes the representatives of Earth." Diana allowed a small smile. "How interesting," she replied, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "Just 3 days ago, you didn't think we were worthy of recognition at all." The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Their mighty civilization, which had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, now found itself at the mercy of a species they had planned to quarantine. "We admit our error in judgment," Elder Marcus spoke, his ancient voice carrying wisdom and humility. "We underestimated your species greatly." Diana placed a data pad on the central podium. "Let's discuss terms," she said. "Earth has prepared a comprehensive treaty for the Council's consideration." The terms appeared on the massive screens around the chamber. Many Council members gasped at what they saw. Earth wasn't just demanding recognition. They were reshaping the entire galactic power structure. "These terms are impossible," Military Commander John protested. "You want us to share all our technology, open our borders, and allow Earth representatives on the High Council itself." Admiral Stone stepped forward. "You threaten to strip us of our technology and imprison us on our own world," he reminded them. "Consider yourselves fortunate that our terms are so generous." Dr. Reed activated a holographic display, showing the network of dimensional anchors still affecting Council space. "We could maintain this technological disruption indefinitely," he explained. "Your civilization would effectively return to a pre-space age level of development." The Council members looked at each other in growing despair. Their options were limited. Earth's ships still held position near every major Council world, and their dimensional anchor network had rendered most Council technology useless. However, Diana continued, her voice softening slightly, "Earth does not seek dominion or revenge. We want partnership, real partnership, not the false hierarchy you try to impose." She gestured to another screen, showing images of human and alien scientists working together. "Think of what we could achieve together. Your experience combined with our innovation, your stability with our adaptability." Elder Marcus leaned forward, his ancient eyes studying the humans carefully. "You planned this for decades," he stated, "all while we watched you, thinking ourselves so superior." Commander Emma West nodded. "Every trading mission, every diplomatic contact, every seemingly primitive human ship that visited your worlds, they were all part of the plan." The Council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just defeated them militarily, they had outmaneuvered them completely, turning decades of Council surveillance against itself. "We will need time to review these terms," High Speaker Roberts said finally. Diana smiled. "You have 24 hours, she replied. "The same amount of time you gave us. We think that's fair." As the human delegation turned to leave, Elder Marcus called out, "One question, please. How did you hide all this from us for so long?" Diana paused at the door. "You saw what you expected to see," she answered. "You watched our wars and called us violent, never realizing we fought because we knew conflict was coming. You saw our divisions and called us primitive, never understanding that our differences made us stronger." She looked back at the Council. "You thought you were studying humanity. Instead, we were studying you. Remember that when you consider our terms." The door closed behind the human delegation, leaving the Council to face a hard truth. The galaxy's balance of power had shifted, and Earth was now the one making the rules. 1 year after Earth's stunning victory over the Galactic Council, the solar system had become the center of a new galactic order. The space around Earth buzzed with activity as ships from hundreds of alien worlds came to trade, learn, and establish diplomatic relations with humanity. Admiral Stone stood at the window of the new Earth Space Command headquarters, a massive station orbiting the moon. Below him, Earth shone like a blue jewel, now protected not by hidden weapons, but by mutual respect and understanding. Another delegation arriving, "Sir," reported Tom Wilson, now promoted to captain. On their main screen, A ship from a distant world approached, its design a beautiful mix of Council and Earth technology. Hard to believe it's only been a year, Stone mused. Remember when they thought we were just primitive warriors? In Geneva, Dr. Lisa Brown worked side by side with alien scientists in the new Galactic Research Center. The facility, built with both Earth and Council technology, represented everything humanity had hoped to achieve. Different species shared knowledge freely, combining their unique perspectives to solve problems that had stumped them individually. The cancer treatment trials are showing amazing results, she told her alien colleague, a former Council scientist. Your species' understanding of cellular mechanics combined with our quantum approach is saving lives across the galaxy. Meanwhile, in the reformed Council chamber, Ambassador Diana North sat as Earth's representative on the High Council. The room had been redesigned, with all seats at the same level. No more elevated positions to suggest superiority. Today's topic was helping younger civilizations join the galactic community. We should guide them, not judge them, Diana argued. Every species has something unique to offer. Our own history proves that. Elder Marcus, who had become one of Earth's strongest allies, nodded in agreement. Earth has taught us that true civilization isn't about technological advancement alone. It's about wisdom, creativity, and the courage to change. Commander Emma West, now Fleet Admiral of the Combined Earth Council Defense Force, supervised joint training exercises near Jupiter. Human and alien ships maneuvered together, sharing techniques and technologies. The dimensional anchors that had once brought the Council to its knees were now used to power a new generation of peaceful exploration vessels. Form up on our wing, she instructed a Council ship. Today we learn from each other. In his laboratory, Dr. Alan Reed worked on his newest project, a system to detect and communicate with other dimensions. Around him, scientists from dozens of worlds contributed their ideas, creating something that neither humans nor Council members could have achieved alone. The universe is bigger than we imagined, he told his diverse team, and we'll explore it together. Back on Earth, in the Rocky Mountain Command Center, now a museum, tourists from across the galaxy viewed exhibits showing how humanity had prepared for first contact. The hidden factories, the secret fleet, the dimensional anchors, all now stood as reminders of a time when humans had to hide their true capabilities. A young alien child asked their parent, "Why did Earth hide everything?" The parent, a former Council military officer, replied wisely, "Because sometimes the best way to make friends is to first show you can't be made into enemies." As the day drew to a close, Admiral Stone attended a ceremony marking the first graduation of the new Galactic Academy. Human and alien students stood together, ready to serve on ships that would explore the unknown regions of space. A year ago, he said in his speech, the Council thought they were coming to chain humanity. Instead, they helped free the entire galaxy from the chains of prejudice and fear. Together, we're building something greater than any single species could achieve alone. The graduates cheered, a mix of human and alien voices rising together. Above them, the stars beckoned, no longer representing potential threats, but endless possibilities for cooperation and discovery. Earth had changed the galaxy not just through power, but through the wisdom to use that power to build rather than destroy. The species that the Council had once deemed too aggressive had become the architect of a new age of peace and exploration. The future was no longer human or alien, it was universal.